Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to do a fight breakdown / prediction for Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. If you're unfamiliar with how I do things, basically I put both combatants side by side. I run down a list of attributes, and whoever has more points in the end, that's the individual that I'm going with. Really quick, if you like the videos, please take the time right now, subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. If you have, and you have recently, welcome and thank you. Also, if you can hit that thumbs up button, it really does help and support this channel. So without further ado, let's jump into this. Experience. I'm going with Gervonta Tank Davis. I mean, I just feel like he's fought better opposition, and that's why I'm going with him. He fought Gamboa, he fought Barrios, he fought Santa Cruz, and really the biggest, toughest guy on paper for Ryan Garcia is Luke Campbell, and I'm sorry. Even if he is the biggest, toughest, and maybe he's possibly on par or the level of those other guys, he still has three big names to your one. So, got to go with Tank Davis on that one. Speed. So here's the thing, and I'm going to talk this out. Here's the thing when it comes to speed. With the hands, I think Ryan Garcia may be, I don't know, maybe a millisecond faster. However, I'm talking about a totality. So when I say speed, I'm talking about everything. So when I look at speed, Gervonta Tank Davis, he can cover a large amount of distance with his hands, with his feet. He can do that with his feet as well. His wins come by way of his footwork as well. And therefore, when I look at speed, I'm looking at everything in its totality. And I have to say it's his hands and it's his feet. So therefore, I got to give it to Gervonta Tank Davis. Defense. This is also going to Gervonta Tank Davis, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because he's slick with his movements. Ryan Garcia doesn't have much. He doesn't have the best defense. His defense is backing away. His defense is sometimes fighting tall, but or just kind of pulling away because 9 times out of 10 he's going to be taller than his opponent. Gervonta Tank Davis is very slippery. Gervonta Tank Davis has great footwork. He also uses his footwork, which is a large part of his defense. Gervonta Tank Davis knows how to catch shots. A lot of times it'll look like Tank's getting hit with like some bombs, but the reality is a lot of those things are like deflecting off elbows or his shoulder or something like that. He's a very slick guy. So I got to go with Gervonta Tank Davis when it comes to defense. Power. So here, let's see. Now, although Ryan Garcia has a lot of knockouts, and Tank has a lot of knockouts, I'm just going to say this one's a tie. Because realistically, yeah, you could say, actually, I'm going to change this on the fly. I don't think it's a tie. And I'm just going back through my head as I'm talking, so bear with me. I don't think this is a tie, and I'm going to tell you why. This is not a tie because Tank has fought better opposition. And although he hasn't gotten all his opposition out of there, nonetheless, they've been tougher opposition. Yeah, we've seen the infamous sparring with Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero, and Ryan Garcia didn't necessarily look like he wanted to be in there. However, Gervonta Tank Davis took him out with this and with this. That's one reason. Also, again, Gervonta Tank Davis has fought tougher opposition. Pitbull Cruz is no walk in the park. Did Gervonta Tank Davis knock him out? No, but he kept him at bay with one hand, because I know he hurt his hand in the fight, with one hand. So that says something about his power. He had enough power in one hand, throwing one punch at a time, to keep Pitbull off of him. That says something. Also, he took Barrios out. Barrios was bigger. I mean, Barrios, like, not to say that he had an advantage on paper, but Barrios is no walk in the park. Barrios didn't come to lay down. Santa Cruz didn't come to lay down. And Santa Cruz had, now, Santa Cruz is not known for being some big knockout puncher or anything like that, but he's a veteran. That's what I'm getting at. He has boxing IQ. That's what I'm getting at. And the way that Gervonta Tank Davis lined him up perfectly. I got to go with Gervonta Tank Davis on power. Cardio. I'm going to have to go with Gervonta Tank Davis on this. Why? Because he's been in championship rounds. That's why. He's been in championship rounds with tougher opposition. That's why. So I got to go with Gervonta Tank Davis with cardio. He can get a little lazy in rounds. I don't know really how Ryan Garcia gets because, most of his fights just don't make it all the way to the end of the rounds or championship rounds. So I don't know how lazy he can get. But the way he fights, he doesn't exert a lot of energy. So I imagine he can do what he does for 12 rounds easy, because he's not the type of guy who's going to waste punches. He's very sharp with his punches. He's very accurate with his punches, but he's not going to throw anything that's unnecessary. And Ryan Garcia is more of a self-preserve type of guy. So if he feels like it's going to put him in harm's way, he's not going to entertain that punch. So I imagine he can do that for 12 rounds, no problem, because like I said, he doesn't exert a lot of energy. It's definitely not as if he's running around the ring. He's not doing that. Even when he is walking guys down, he's taking half steps towards them. It's just an inch there, kind of like a David Benavidez. David Benavidez is not going to waste a lot of energy because he's not exerting a lot what he needs to do to walk a guy into a corner. So I'm still going to have to go with Gervonta Tank Davis because I haven't seen what Ryan Garcia can do in championship rounds. So therefore, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to say Gervonta Tank Davis. Durability. Who's more durable in the fight? Well, Ryan Garcia did get put down. That's true. But again, we have to look at who they fought as well. Tank flat out said, Rolly hit him, and he's like, okay, he hits hard. I'm not going to be doing that anymore. So he's been in there with big guys. He's been in there with some power punchers. Pitbull Cruz is no walk in the park. He's always like the odd man out when people mention, these young guns. But no, he's no walk in the park. And Pitbull gets guys out of there. So when we're talking about durability, and Pitbull, he cracked Tank a few times in that fight. So much so that after the fight, Gervonta Tank Davis said, you're going to be a superstar one day. That's what he told Pitbull. You're going to be a super. They took a picture together. Tank puts his arm around him, says, you're going to be a superstar one day. So just based on opposition, again, because it's important, I got to go with Gervonta Tank Davis. Let's see. Confidence. Now, this is interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because during the press conferences, seemingly there were moments where Ryan Garcia would dip. He would dip. He would start off high, high energy, high confidence. Then he would dip, and then he'd rise back up. But he would dip from time to time. Gervonta Tank Davis, his confidence never wavered. And that's for a few reasons. One, because he knows that he's fought better opposition. Two, because he's been more active. Three, because he knows he's the more skilled boxer. So therefore, that's the reason for his confidence. And whatever they claimed happened in the club, where he claimed that he backed Ryan Garcia down or scared him or whatever that case may be. Maybe he felt like he saw something in his eyes and he didn't see that same warrior spirit that he possesses. So either way, Tank never dipped. Never once in the press conference. And also, the body language said a lot for me, because when Tank put his hands on Ryan Garcia just shrugged it off like with a laugh, or he did like a little Ali shuffle or something like that. While when Ryan put his hands on Tank, Tank smacked it out of the way right away. And Ryan didn't do it again. So confidence, I'm going to go with Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, Ryan Garcia has every opportunity during the fight to prove me wrong in that one. But moving forward, I'm going to have to say Ryan. Well, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to have to say Gervonta Tank Davis. The only other thing that I can give Ryan Garcia is the fact that he called for this fight and he really wanted this fight. And it's interesting because when he called for the fight, it was the Rolly fight that had Ryan Garcia convinced that he could beat Gervonta Tank Davis. That was the fight that convinced him, I can beat this guy and I can beat him right now. So I got to give props to Ryan Garcia for calling this fight. But I feel like Tank has exuded more confidence during this whole press conference. So I'm going to go with Gervonta Tank Davis. Let's see. Boxing IQ. Again, Gervonta Tank Davis. This is really looking like a landslide, but Gervonta Tank Davis. The Rolly fight was masterful in terms of defense. The Rolly fight was masterful in terms of footwork. The Rolly fight was masterful in terms of sizing your opponent up and lining him up. When I mean lining, I mean getting him to a spot where you feel most comfortable to land, the perfect shot. And I'm going to have to say that was a beautiful lineup. It was. Also, he did it with Leo Santa Cruz. A beautiful lineup. Because prior to that, it looks like Leo's doing his thing, and then he gets knocked out the box. Tank put you there. Tank wanted you in that corner, and he wanted you in that specific corner. He wanted you overconfident. He wanted you firing. He wanted you overextending so he can land the perfect shot on you. Boxing IQ, I don't feel like I need to say anymore. I could go on, but boxing IQ right there, Gervonta Tank Davis. Let's see. Dog. Who has more dog? Who has more heart in those championship rounds? I'm going to say Gervonta Tank Davis because, once again, I feel like he's fought the tougher guys. I mean, again, the Pitbull fight, and he had one hand. That shows dog. He's got a dog inside. Now, to combat that, I'm going to say Ryan Garcia got put down by Luke Campbell. He got back up and won the fight and smashed Luke Campbell. But Luke Campbell, in my personal opinion, is no Rolly. Luke Campbell, in my personal opinion, is no Pitbull Cruz. Luke Campbell, in my personal opinion, is no Gamboa. He's, maybe he can beat Santa Cruz, but still, I don't really know. I'll call those two even. So there you go. Dog. He's got dog in him. He's got the dog in him. And Rolly was coming to take his head off. He's got the dog in him. Let's see. Footwork. I've already said Gervonta Tank Davis all day. The Rolly fight, perfect example. Infighting. Who's better in the phone booth? Gervonta Tank Davis. I mean, his body type works better in that type of situation. His body structure. He's more dense. He's more thick. So he's going to work better in that situation. He fights low anyway. He's going to work better in that situation. Shorter arms, he's going to fight better in that situation. It's not going to be for Ryan Garcia to be in that situation. Ryan Garcia is going to be a much more of a headache and a problem for Gervonta Tank Davis at distance than he is going to be up close and personal in a phone booth. Let's see. What's the best weapon? What's Ryan Garcia's best weapon? Obviously, the left hook. But we cannot sleep on Ryan Garcia's overhand. That overhand right is deadly, all right? So you can't sleep on that because a lot of times that left hook will stun you and that overhand's coming over to finish you guys. So you can't sleep in that overhand. Or it's the overhand, and a lot of times the overhand will set up the left hook. You cannot overlook that overhand. And Tank's just constantly talking about that left hook. That overhand is there. Also, Ryan has a beautiful jab, but on top of that, he's mastered variations of that jab. Like he'll pepper with it, and then he'll sting with it. When I say sting, he'll shoot it out really quick and, surprise you almost, or just give you like a flash or something like that. And then he'll do the peppering where he's just keeping you busy. He understands variations of that punch. Everything doesn't need to be 150% on the punch in terms of impact. For Gervonta Tank Davis, that shovel hook is vicious. That lunging hook from Gervonta Tank Davis, he showed it a few times. That's also vicious. And he can lunge at any point in time and anywhere in the ring. Typically does it in the center of the ring. And that's a lot of times they get a guy back or just simply hurt the guy. So it depends on how they react to it, what's coming next. Let's see. His uppercut, vicious, of course. And that straight right to the body, which is seeping energy out of you. And it's slowing you down in terms of your legs and your hips. So let's see. Here's another segment. What does Tank need to do, or what does Tank need to look for? Well, Ryan Garcia's left hook, obviously. Tank fights low. That left hook is right there. And Ryan Garcia has like cat-like reflexes. That's going to be a problem for Gervonta Tank Davis. And he really needs to keep his guards up. If not, it could be night-night. I've said several times, Ryan Garcia has every skill and attribute and everything in his corner to put Gervonta Tank Davis on his backside. He's got the power, he's got the speed, and he's got the perfect weapon because of the way that Gervonta Tank Davis fights. He fights very low. It's possible. It is possible. The more cocky Gervonta Tank Davis gets in the ring, the lower he drops his hands. So that left hook from Ryan is very possible. That overhand from Ryan is very possible. Don't sleep on Ryan Garcia. Let's see. Another thing about Ryan, very fluid with his hands. What Ryan needs to look for, what does Ryan Garcia need to look for versus Tank? Being baited by Tank. Do not let Gervonta Tank Davis bait you. He does it very, very well. If he cannot bait you, he'll back you down. If he can't bait you, he will back you down. You have two ways, but I guarantee Gervonta Tank Davis will be leading this dance. Okay, so Ryan needs to watch out for that. Let's see. Letting Tank decide the pace of the fight. If you let Tank decide the pace of the fight, it can go really slow and then it can accelerate. It can go really slow and then it can accelerate, or it can stay at acceleration rate. It depends on how you react to things. It depends if you're going to follow Gervonta Tank Davis around the ring, or if you're going to be baited into something, or you let him walk you down. It all depends on what you give him to work with. But 9 times out of 10, he might be leading the dance. Let's see. Gervonta Tank Davis is very good at mixing it up as well. You know, he can start from the body, he can go up to the head, vice versa. You never really know where he's heading for, you know, in terms of, you know, his plan of attack. While Ryan Garcia is a little bit more, you know, transparent. We know what he's doing. So Gervonta Tank Davis, he's also a wizard of that. You don't know what's coming next. There's a plethora of punches that he can dish out at any given time. Getting lined up. Don't get lined up. Okay? Don't get lined up. You are the taller guy. You are the bigger guy. And I imagine on the night of, contrary to that clause, Ryan Garcia is still going to look a lot bigger than Gervonta Tank Davis. Don't let him do to you what he did to Rolly. Because Ryan Garcia, to me, is Rolly Romero with more common sense. And what I mean by that is he's a little bit more hesitant at times. But he can get wild in there as well. And Gervonta Tank Davis can take full advantage of that. Overall, because tally's up, overall, I have Gervonta Tank Davis. I think too much boxing IQ. I think he's been active, which is very important in this fight. Very, very, very important. He has the momentum because he's been active. He believes in himself because he's been active. He's been sharpening those skills. He's been in the back-to-back camps. Dude's been active. Also, smarts, power, fast legs, great deception skills. Overall, I have Gervonta Tank Davis, and I think it's going to be a unanimous decision, though. I don't necessarily think he knocks Ryan Garcia out. Looking at the Luke Campbell, that was a really great punch, and Ryan got right back up. He had all his faculties. And we'll just have to wait and see. But I definitely have Gervonta Tank Davis. Unanimous decision. That's my thoughts. And that's my fight breakdown. Please like, please share, please subscribe to this channel.